Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist, and today I'm bringing you another book versus episode video. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing Phantom of the Auditorium, the book versus the episode. Yes, I know the DVD here has Attack of the Mutant on it, but if you turn it over on the back, you will see Phantom of the Auditorium featured here. So I will be using this for comparison reasons in the video. So this is going to be kind of close. The book I gave a 4.3 out of 5. I think the book is a poster child that represents what Goosebumps is all about. It's a great homage to the classic tale of Phantom of the Opera. It has good character dynamics, has a fun whodunit mystery going for it. It's just a really good spooky one, and I think about this book a lot, and maybe I'm underselling this book a little bit because I think about it all the time, and maybe I low-key love this book. But this one is a bona fide classic to me. I think it's a perfect book for people to jump on, for like younger readers that are looking to try Goosebumps. This is like one of those good gateway books to get into Goosebumps. Really, really timeless one, and to me a bona fide classic. And then the episode, which I gave a 4.2 out of 5, does a really good job, and is definitely one of the more faithful adaptations in the show, and it really adapts the book as well as it can, especially for that 22 minute time crunch. Has a little bit of differences in there to kind of chew on, but for the most part, pretty solid, well-directed episode. John Bell, the way he directed this episode was really good. The stuff he brought to the table here was fantastic in its own regards, and yeah, and I think for the most part, these two are evenly matched. They kind of share the same distinct negative for me. So this might be one of the more tougher book versus episodes, just because since they share the biggest negative, it might be kind of hard to distinguish which one I like more, but I actually think I might have a preferred one, but we'll get to that later. So in these book versus episode videos, we like to run down things that you can compare the book and the episode toe-to-toe with to see which one is better. I like to run down the characters, go over each character, which one I preferred and which version. Then we like to go over the atmosphere, which atmosphere I preferred. Sometimes we'll talk about aesthetics and tone. We're not going to be talking about tone since I think they both have the same tone here. But for aesthetics, there are some aesthetics to bring up in these changes that the episode made from the book. So we can bring up aesthetics in this video. Then we'll go over overall plot. We'll go over the climax. And then we'll go over the overall, which one had a better ending. Now, for the most part, these are pretty toe-to-toe, so a lot of these will be dead even in some regards. Some of these might be more leaning to one side because, to be fair, one of them had more room to develop the story, and the other was given a time crunch to kind of expedite the story. So, let's get into it. Let's start off with the characters. We'll start off with the main character, Brooke. Okay, so let's start off with the episode. So Brooke, in the episode, she is this girl who has the leading part in the play, The Phantom. She plays Esmeralda. She seems like a thespian type. She has a best friend named Zeke, who they both get together and play pranks on everyone, so it seems. And they both have the leading parts in the play. And she's being visited by this phantom being in her dreams, and she kind of has these visions of him, throughout the story as well. So there's like a supernatural connection to this phantom. She's kind of rebellious and curious and is willing to go against, adult authority because her and Zeke go into the auditorium elevator thing that leads underneath the auditorium against the teacher's wishes and all that. So Brooke has more of she kind of has a witty personality in the episode. In tune with the book, she's kind of witty, kind of a daredevil. She has like this psychic connection thing. Can't really complain. She has a really good actress playing her too. But the book, Brooke is like this horror junkie. She likes playing pranks on people. It's front and center. Her and her friend Zeke are like two troublemakers. They apply to this play because it's horror themed and it has some school history. There's some things about her character that get developed, like her, her relationship with Tina. She has like this, banter with her. She seems emotionally developed because she thinks that, wasting time messing with Tina isn't worth her time. So she has some emotional development there. She goes through this story that's surrounded in realism for her character. She gets, she's the purveyor of the mystery. She is treated like a good friend. She does things that good friends should do with helping out her friend Zeke, who's being framed, and being nice to the new kid Brian. She has a lot of good qualities with her. And then the ending, you know, what happens to her is kind of supernatural, but for the most part, she wasn't really a bad character. She was an honest character. She had some monologue with her. Her character bounced off other characters very well, created some very good character dynamics as a result. So if I had a preference for Brooke, I'm going to give the edge to the book. Brooke is fantastic in the book. I really have no complaints. Probably one of my top 20 Goosebumps protagonists, or my favorite that I've read. Zeke, I think Zeke has more of a sympathetic journey in the book. Zeke is like the toady best friend. He likes playing pranks, but he gets kind of humbled from him getting framed in the book. He's getting framed for all this. Obviously, he's being also poised as a suspect of who is this Phantom and stuff. And Zeke, the stuff he goes through kind of mirrors a lot in the episode. The episode Zeke, pretty much the same thing. He's more out of the picture. The guy who plays him, he's an alright actor compared to Brooke, but Zeke for the most part is pretty consistent to the book, but I think I got more out of Zeke from the book, so I'm going to give the edge to Zeke to the book. Now, I do understand some people might tie Zeke here, but I like Zeke just a little bit more in the book. Next I think we can go with Miss Walker. Miss Walker, Kathy Greenwood from Whose Line Is It Anyway played her in the episode. I love that about her. I like her personality that she brings to the character. For the book, it's pretty much toe-to-toe, but if I had a personal preference, I'm going to give the edge to episode Miss Walker, just because it's Kathy Greenwood, and I love her improv comedy. So I'm going to give the edge to the episode for Miss Walker. Now, let's talk about Tina. Tina, I think, has a way, this is going to be a clear winner here. I'm going to give the edge to the book. Tina has a way more impactful resonance in the story in the book. She's way more of a suspect than she is in the episode. She seems to know this legend about this Phantom in the book. Same thing with the episode. She's very knowledgeable, but she also has this motive for wanting to mess with Brooke because Brooke took the leading role away from her and put her on the production team as a result and as an alternate. So Tina has this resentment. Her and Brooke have this catty relationship with each other where they're constantly talking down. I don't think she's as emotionally mature as she comes off in the episode, but I think her character, she at least calls Brooke later on in the story and they talk, and it seems like water's under the bridge at one point in the story where you're kind of confident that Tina is not a suspect. As in the episode, she's just like the one that knows the legend. She seems a lot nicer, but she's more treated like a side character, and all that exposition that the book had with her character is kind of dropped here. And in the episode, I kind of wish that they took a different direction with Tina, and I kind of mentioned this in the episode review. There's an obvious setup they could have taken with her to kind of change the whole revelation to involving her character, maybe with Brian. A cool thing I would have done with Tina's character is maybe brought that element from the book into the episode. You would probably have to extend the episode's length to do this, but have Tina have that motive that she's jealous of Brooke for taking the starring role and putting her on the production team. And then kind of involve her character in the final twist. Maybe she is also associated with the whole story and might be behind a few things. I think that would have been a fun way to change it up for the episode. But what coulda, shoulda. Like I said, I think I prefer Tina way more than the episode. But the girl who played Tina in the episode, she's also in Phantom of the Auditorium, and that's a fun little Easter egg. As a die-hard fan of the Goosebumps show, and as somebody who grew up watching Phantom of the Megaplex, it's awesome that she's in both. So definitely gives me something to come back for her character in that regard. I guess we have two more characters to really talk about. We have the Emil the Night Janitor character. Which one do I find better? Which one do I think is better? I think this is also a clear runaway. The episode version, Emil is not old like described in the book. He's more like in his 40s. His whole motive and his whole speech is dropped, and he's just kind of implied that he's a squatter living under the school, trying to mess with the kids so he can keep his hangout spot. As in the book, Emil has a more somber and sadder story for his homelessness. It kind of brings a slight, subtext of commentary with his character about, him losing his job, him having to go to like a public place and hide out kind of in plain sight from everyone, even though like if he's discovered, he's going to be kicked out and he's not going to have any place to live and stuff like that. His speech during that portion of the book to the kids when they find his hideout, that's kind of a spoiler mildly in case you haven't read it, but yeah, I'm not really spoiling who the Phantom is, so whatever. But Emil, his character I think is more fleshed out in the book. I think he has a stronger motive, brings a little bit of subtext there with him, and it's a lot more to chew on. He's a lot older, so for that, I think he's more creepier in the book too. I'm not taking anything away from the episode Emil, but I just like him better in the books. I'm gonna give the edge to Emil in the book. And then, of course, we have Brian, and that's the last character we're gonna bring up. Brian, he's the new kid that comes halfway through the story, and he joins the production team with Tina, and Brian helps the kids find out the truth about what's going on underneath the auditorium. There's a lot more scenes with Brian in the book. There's like textbook scenes to look for in Goosebumps book associated with this character. And then in the episode, he's just kind of in and around the story, not really, about around halfway through. And to be honest, if I had to pick again, it's going to the book again. Brian's character is just better in the book. Not taking anything away from all the characters in the episode. I think Miss Walker is really the standout one to me. Everyone else, I just prefer in the book. And Brian really sells that home for me. Like Brian, I got more out of his character in the book than I did the episode. I think he got one of the bigger shafts too. But like I said, still the rudimentary stuff is still very much the same, involving all the characters here. So yeah, for the characters, I think the book has a big landslide there. Now for the atmosphere, this is going to be a deadlock. This episode, I cannot give enough praise and justice for how well John Bell captured the atmosphere of this book in this episode. It is fantastic. It is literally like taking the location and setting I had pictured in my brain, reading it, and transplanting it into episode form. It is fantastic. I mean, utterly fantastic. And honestly, I might even want to give a slight edge to the episode, just for the effects, just for the transitions, just for how immersive some of the effects were, like making the screen blurry to match Brooke missing her glasses and stuff. It just amplifies the story. It's very impressive. But I'll just deadlock them just because they're both so good in their own regards. It really feels like that thespian dark, moody. It's not really dark, but you know what I mean. Like it's like more of like a colder atmosphere where there's a lot of dark places. There's nooks and crannies, corners, cobwebs, uncharted territory. It has that mystery tone going for it. Both capture a mystery tone. If we're going just on mystery itself, I think the book is better. But yeah, they're both there. They both execute atmosphere kind of equally in a lot of regards. And yeah, I'm going to have to deadlock them there. Now for aesthetics, there are some aesthetics to go over. First notable one is the dreams that aren't really important in the book, that are kind of just put on blast in the episode. It seems like these dreams and these visions Brooke has have this supernatural connection as linked into the final moments of the episode. The book doesn't have any supernatural elements with Brooke until the very last chapter. I mean, literally, till the very last chapter or two is where you finally see supernatural stuff going on. And I think that with that aesthetic, adding that into the episode kind of increased this ghostly, there's something off about what's going on to Brooke and Zeke and everyone. It comes off more spooky. So in that regard, the dreams and stuff, I prefer the episode. It doesn't muddy anything up. it kind of introduces something I think actually should have been in the book. Now, if we're talking brass tacks, aesthetics about, there's another thing we can talk about, and that is like the stuff that the characters go through, like what gets damaged. Like in the book, Brian has an entire background set piece destroyed, as in the episode, it's like just a door. There's stuff like that. We can talk about that, but really, it's not really important to talk about. A lot of people would expect for me to talk about those things. But I think a more important aesthetic to bring up is how the is how overall the book is grounded in realism versus the episode is more leaning into that supernatural element as a whole. Like I said, like I already talked about the dreams, and they kind of tie together here. For the aesthetic, and it kind of bleeds into tone a little bit. Supernatural tone versus that. I guess we can kind of rope tone a little bit into this. But the supernatural is more leaned into than the book was in the episode. As in the book is more grounded in realism. And which one do I prefer? I kind of like the supernatural element just a little bit more, so I'll add that in there. So that's my thoughts on the aesthetics. And now we're going to get into overall plot. They're essentially the same story. The episode, I could run it down and then talk about the book, but essentially the book just has some extra scenes that the episode doesn't have. But for the most part, Brooke and Zeke get these leading parts in the play. They are Esmeralda and the Phantom. Zeke starts getting framed, and everybody hears this legend of the Phantom, and they get spooked, and now all these hijinks start ensuing because they started to put on this play that apparently is cursed from 72 years ago, and there may or may not be a real phantom. And when they start digging into the mystery, what lies beneath the stage, it gets more bizarre. And then, of course, you discover the whole truth about Emil, and then the twist ending, right? The book adds that, Miss Walker found the last manuscript of the play, which I think is a really cool nod. There's that urban legend already centered around this town's history with this play, because this play was made for this specific school on its opening year. So there's a more urban legend factor in the overall plot that kind of sells the believability of the story moving forward. There's also more added scenes. Essentially, the book is an extended cut of the episode, really. There's more extended scenes involving Brian, and there's more extended scenes involving Tina, more context there. Overall plot, I think, is a lot more neater and less predictable. Well, it's still predictable as all get out as at the end result, but it's less predictable compared to the episode. The episode's way more obviously predictable. So the overall plot, I'm going to give to the book. Now for the climax, the climax is essentially, I think there's two plot twists with two, like, the main climax I think you should worry about, because one plot twist deals with the climax and one plot twist deals with the ending. So plot twist number one, aka the climax, is essentially the same, just minus the Emil speech when that revelation happens. Just for the episode missing that, and I kind of view that as a half negative for the episode, I'm going to give the edge to the book. I think the episode just had, had a slightly weaker climax than the book. The book had a lot more reasoning for Emil, and it came off more impactful to me. Now, the overall ending is essentially the same. However, I like the episode's ending more, and here's why. Tying back into that change with the supernatural visions that Brooke was getting in her dreams, it makes this reveal seem like Brooke was chosen as to be like this crush / love interest of the Phantom. And he wants her to be dragged there. And it makes a lot more sense in the book. A lot more sense as the end result. And I never really thought of the book's ending to be a big negative. I still like it, and I still don't view it negatively at all. But adding that really amplifies the ending for me in the episode. So I'm going to give the ending the edge to the episode here. So, yeah. Let's run it down. Which one do I prefer? Which one do I think is superior? Now, yeah, the episode does have a few things I think did better, like the aesthetics for the most part, were better. Miss Walker I liked more. The ending I liked more. But everything else, I think the book has better. And I think as the overall product, I think if you took the best aspects, minus Miss Walker, because Miss Walker's actress makes Miss Walker for me. But if you took the best aspects of the episode and blended it together into the book, and maybe added some new things, like maybe adding more things about Tina, like I brought up, I think this would be a 5 out of 5. If you just combine some of the best elements and introduce more things about Tina, and even if you didn't introduce things differently with Tina, and if you still combine the best elements, I think this would actually be an A book. And that's unfortunate because, like, I see this all the time. If you just combine the best elements of one version or another, kind of like Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers, if you just combine the best elements, it would be a way better product overall than both of them combined. But if I had a preference of which one I think is better, I still think the book is superior, so I'm going to give the edge to the book here for Phantom of the Auditorium. And it's by about a complete hair, okay? The book just has more exposition, it has more things to chew on, has a lot more red herrings, it feels more tight, feels more like a roller coaster. The episode does feel tight, it does have its own little strengths, but I just think the book is a better product here. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Phantom of the Auditorium. Let me know down in the comment section, which one do you find better? Do you find the book better or the episode better for Phantom of the Auditorium? Or do you find them kind of equal? I'm dying to know, and I'll see you next time.